It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. I'm Kevin Keatsman, and we got a lot of great topics coming up for you on the broadcast today, and your opportunity to win those tickets to the big show coming up on May 9th. Dave Ramsey's coming to Kansas City with Dr. John Deloney for the Money and Marriage Tour. Be listening at 10:45 today for your chance to win, and 7:45 every morning on Monday in the morning for your chance to win, and maybe even get the VIP package to meet Dave Ramsey at the meet and greet. Should be fun. In just a few minutes, we'll talk the latest on the Chiefs and their quest for a new stadium or a renovated stadium. As Clark Hunt and Mark Donovan have spoken to the media at the NFL meetings in Florida near Mar-a-Lago, which is where they are. They're a resort near Mar-a-Lago. We will have the very latest for you on that, and my thoughts on what it all means is they have actually given some pretty reasonable information out as to what their plans may be. We got a lot of things going on in sports today and a special anniversary announcement later in the show. But we start today with the toughest day yet for the Trump presidency. That is today. Today's the hardest day of this presidency for Donald Trump. It is such a difficult and complicated day for Donald Trump that he decided to move the tariffs beginning Liberation Day to tomorrow. And he said it was because he was superstitious. But I've got a fun theory. Maybe this isn't the real theory, but in practice, it's really the case. If Donald Trump was going to have a big news day on April 1st, April Fool's Day, couldn't that become a problem for him? I ask this question. If today were the day that he busted out Greenland, what would people think? Oh, we're going to take Greenland. What if he busted out the Panama Canal's ours? We're taking it back. What if he busted out tariffs? What if he introduced to everybody the fact that he wanted to release the JFK files on April Fool's Day? What if he said we're closing USAID and saving $50 billion a year on April Fool's Day? What if he announced he wants to close the Department of Education on April Fool's Day? This is the best part of the Trump presidency. He spent the first 2 months of his term doing things that if they announced them today, especially on social media, we would think they were a joke. We'd be like, what? We've never heard of that. The Gulf of America? This has got to be a joke, an April Fool's joke. What is Trump doing today? So he's not doing anything today. He's even saving his tariffs for tomorrow. And I bring this up because I don't spend a lot of time on social media compared to a lot of people, but it is a wasteland today. It's bad 364 days a year, but on April Fool's Day, it's almost a waste of time. It is so hard to discern what is true and what is not true. You really have to look at when it was posted. For example, when you heard that KU basketball was canceling their banquet. Well, we've never heard of such a thing. They're canceling their banquet. This was last night or late yesterday they announced it. That's real. That's a real story. You have to look at when the timeline was and when things come out. And you go, okay, that was real. Today, Arizona State football announces that they're going to have a maroon field next year. And it looks pretty good. They've got the artwork and everything. And you're like, well, this is what teams do. They mess with jerseys, do all this stuff. So what's the story here? And a quick Google search shows you that these have been overruled by college football long ago. Boise State is grandfathered in. They have a blue field. And one other school, I think, has a goofy field. But it's actually against the rules to do it now. This is April Fool's. And all of X and every social media platform is just loaded with these things today. Tony's Kansas City is loaded with them today. I go there every morning. I'm like, okay, it's a pretty funny story he's got about the Royals' cancer and their concrete at their stadium being cured. I thought that's pretty clever. And there's some funny stuff there. But you know right away that he's having fun with this, and he lets that be known. But it gets complicated for a lot of people out there trying to figure out what they're doing. And it's not that I don't like an April Fool's joke. But you can only go so far in a marriage. I've been married a long time. If I do something serious like call my wife and tell her I've been in a car wreck, it's probably at our age not a good thing to do. She might have a panic attack or something. I don't know. So you can't really do things like that. You know, I don't want to trick her with something like physical in the house. Like she hates snakes, a fake snake. I could do something like that. That'd be fun on April Fool's. But I used to love to do these on radio. And the fine line for me was we never messed with reporting. So we'd go on the air and it was never, hey, the Royals made a trade or this thing happened. It was never fake news. To me, that's a line too far for anyone in media to go to social media and have fun on April Fool's Day and try to pretend something happened that didn't. So we had to be more clever about this. And behind the scenes one year, about 25 years ago, was my favorite April Fool's prank ever. Radio legend Randy Miller, who is still very well known in Kansas City and has dedicated his years now to, he does a podcast, and I think he has an overnight or a once a week satellite radio show that is for the troops. There's a lot of really good things about Randy Miller. He's incredibly talented FM morning DJ, and I got to know him pretty well through the years, just doing things. Always just completely admired and respected his talent. And I called him one year, and I said, Randy, I got an idea. Let's do something wild. He says, okay. It involved me on April 1st going into the studio with his crew, and he's not there, announcing that I'm the new host. It's the Kevin Keatsman Show. It's not the Randy Miller Show. And I did the whole 4-hour show. I introduced country music. The phones lit up. People went crazy. The television news crews came out. It was insane. I said, I don't know what Randy's going to do next, but I'm doing this because I can get done by 10 o'clock and still do my afternoon radio show over on Sports Radio 810. Then at 2 o'clock, I was nowhere to be found. Randy Miller was on 810 doing the sports show. And the entire listening audience panicked and freaked out. Now, if he wanted to come on and make things up about sports, that's different than me going on and telling you all these fake stories. It was a huge ruse and a lot of fun. So I'm not against April Fools. Just be careful out there today and know that this is the toughest day for Donald Trump to be president. Because if he busts out something like Gulf of America today, people may not believe him. How many things has Donald Trump done already that if he posted them for the very first time on April Fool's Day, people would think it was a joke? It's got to be a dozen. That's what makes him so great. He comes up with these things, and then you very suddenly go, well, that makes sense. We didn't know this about Greenland. Oh, I didn't know the Chinese were running the Panama Canal now. Oh, Gulf of America. Of course it should be the Gulf of America. It absolutely should be. We won. The entire peninsula that goes down on the other side is us. It's Florida. It comes around. It's the Gulf of America, of course. Why would it ever be the Gulf of Mexico? Okay, we ceded that at some point. Let's take that back. We like Mount McKinley. You know, it's really fun to watch Trump do these things, and I'm glad that he doesn't bust them out today. The tariffs will begin tomorrow. Nobody knows exactly what to make, but the serious note here is Trump is saying that it will bring in $600 billion per year to the United States federal government, which is $600 billion theoretically less in taxes that you and I will have to pay to the federal government. Or I have no problem with keeping the taxes where they are until we get this thing at check and starting to pay down the debt. That's the way I'd do it if I were in charge. I don't know how voters feel about that. I guess we'll find out. But I also don't understand why people are burning Teslas because they don't like our government spending less money, finding waste, fraud, and abuse. When you ask these people what they're doing, they have no answer for you. They just don't like Elon Musk. They hate Tesla, and they hate Doge. And you ask them why, and they go, it's not democratic. That's why. Somebody told them that Elon Musk is unelected. But they love Judge Boasberg, who's shutting Trump's flights down. Every single person that ever shows up anywhere that has a problem with Trump policy, it's not about the Trump policy. It's about the man. It's about what they've been convinced of, that he's evil, he's ruining democracy, the Constitution's going to be torn up, all of these things. It's just crazy what these people think. And whether they're paid or not paid, they're obviously impressionable. No constitutional republic like this that has free and fair elections is ever going to have a completely educated electorate. It is impossible. There's always going to be people that are just swayed by others. There's going to be plenty of people that just show up and vote on a whim and don't know what they're voting for or care. It's the downside. If we had some sort of a rating on how informed voters were about the issues, and that's how you got to vote, like, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 7, informed on things going on that we're voting for a president of the United States. But we know that some people that walk in there are 1. And I'm a 7, so my vote counts 7 to their 1. Can you imagine what the disparity would be between Republicans and Democrats? It would just be unbelievable. It'd be landslides every single time. And I'm not talking about ranked choice voting. And I know Missouri's talking about this or doing this, or people think it's a good idea. I don't see it. It seems to me like it's ripe for the opportunity for Democrats to splinter their party in two, if we ever got to that, and they would have two of the three parties, and that could be problematic. I don't know. I'm not an expert on ranked choice voting. It just looks like kind of a mess to me. But it's April Fool's Day. It's a tough day for Donald Trump. It's a great day for America because almost everything he's doing right now could have been busted out today, and people would go, that's fake. He's having a good time on Truth Social, and that is not true. When Uncanceled continues, I've got the latest on the Kansas City Chiefs. They have two choices. They've now stated they'd like to make their decision on the same timeline as the Royals by this summer, and they're going to spend either $3 billion in Kansas or $1 billion at Arrowhead Stadium. I've got the details, and we could take your phone calls next. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Phone lines are open. If you'd like to be on the broadcast, 913-408-7957. I can get you right on right now if you would like to join us. And later, your chance to win Dave Ramsey tickets. Dave Ramsey's coming to Kansas City with Dr. John Deloney for his Money and Marriage Tour, May 9th. And you can win meet and greet. It's possible for Dave and John and tickets to the show. Listen to Mundo in the Morning at 7:45 and Uncanceled right here at 10:45 for your chance to win. It's Dave Ramsey and Dr. John Deloney. Friday, May 9th at the Music Hall. Because if it's happening in KCMO, it's on KCMO. There's a lot going on in KCMO, including the biggest issue that I have locally, and you probably know this now by listening to this broadcast each day, is these stadiums. They're just a big deal to me. Maybe they're not as big a deal to you. Maybe they're not as big a deal to a lot of people. I don't know. But they seem to be the one thing that kind of binds all of us, no matter where we live in the Midwest even, not just the Kansas City metro area. It really binds us all. What are these teams going to do? Where are they going to go? We see them as symbols and fabric of our community. And so I really like this story. I've always liked these stories. I liked being involved in it when Sprint Center, now T-Mobile Center, was built, when the stadiums were renovated, when Sporting Park was completed, all of these different things. I find it fascinating to see how it changes and alters the way we live. And when the Speedway came in, it was a really big deal. It changed a lot. It completely changed the image of Kansas City, Kansas. For so many people, what's happened to the Legends there. And if that's where the Chiefs wind up, it really will be the story of our lifetime as Kansas Cityans, that a place like that was deserted in Kansas City, Kansas, which at the time was like the highest crime rate and had all these issues and things going on, winds up with a Speedway, a casino, a baseball team, a Major League Soccer franchise, and the NFL. It's just absolutely unfathomable that could have ever happened. So I love these stories, and I love winning, and I love transformation, and I'm going to be happy for the places where these stadiums are going to be located because it will do good things there. But are we really serious about this when we listen to the Chiefs talking about their two plans? There are two plans that they're talking about at the football meetings this week because the reporters are asking them about, hey, what about stadium issues? What are you going to do? Clark Hunt is there. Mark Donovan, the team president, is there. And Mark Donovan has said, well, we have a June 30th deadline in Kansas for the Star Bonds. Quote, the June 30th deadline is real, unquote, in Kansas. Yesterday was the deadline for the 5 pieces of land that I reported a few weeks ago. They had options on in Kansas to either exercise the option or extend the option or walk away from the option. So I don't know. I cannot tell you today what they've done. Those had to be done by yesterday. I assume they were done prior to yesterday since they're in Florida or whatever. And I think they've had a pretty good idea what they want to do. And maybe it's as simple as we want a 3-month extension and they paid for something like that. I don't know. But Mark Donovan has given details of the two possible plans and said they would like to know by, quote, summer at the latest what they're doing. And that involves either a $1 billion renovation of Arrowhead or a $3 billion brand new stadium in Kansas. That's it. That's what the Chiefs have now said. It's down to those two. It's going to be one of these. Donovan goes on to explain, as he's a member of the Super Bowl committee. Mark Donovan is on the committee that determines where the Super Bowl is each year. Many people think he has the inside shot at being the next commissioner of the NFL. And he described having a Super Bowl in Kansas City and a Final Four, multiple Final Fours, the Big 12 football championship, concerts. He said that's in Kansas. And then he described Arrowhead and the $1 billion renovation, assuming the Royals are gone. He said we would build some things around Arrowhead that would be good on game day. But then he said, quote, we're not talking about the Power and Light District here. So he's already downplaying what they would build around Arrowhead for development. And it sounds like it would be things only on game day or when there's an event. It's not a destination. It's not a place to go any day of the week, 365, whatever. There's nothing along with that. I find it hard to believe that the Chiefs are going to do what they did nearly 20 years ago. This time it would be sinking $300 million into Arrowhead. Last time, and imagine yesterday's dollars, last time it was $250 million that Clark Hunt wound up putting into the project. And now he's talking about putting $300 million in to a $1 billion project. That would be Missouri somehow offering up 70%. And Donovan has confirmed this will require a vote in August or November, which is no sure thing. And those votes would occur after the Kansas deadline, which he says is a real thing. When you start adding all these up, it, again, to me, points to Kansas. He's talking about the deadline that's real. The vote would be after the deadline. He's letting everybody know. He's putting out the numbers for you. It's 3 times as much over there in Kansas, but they're paying for 70%. So if they went over there, the state would pay 2.4, and the Chiefs would have to come up with $600 million. So $600 million in Kansas or $300 million in Missouri is the buy-in. Twice as much in Kansas than Missouri, but a stadium worth 3 times as much as Missouri, and a development around it that will produce revenue probably 5 times as much as Missouri. These numbers still don't add up for staying at the Truman Sports Complex. They don't. The thing they have going, the only thing they have going to keep them there is, does Clark Hunt see it as his dad's house? And I'm not selling my dad's house. There's a lot of people whose parents die, and they say we can't sell our parents' home. This is where we grew up. We got to keep it. They turn it into a rental property. Maybe they don't live there. Maybe they move in after their parents are dead. But they're attached to it, and it becomes part of the family. Maybe that's happening here. But Clark Hunt has never been cheap, and he's never taken the cheap way out. Remember, he spent like 4 times as much on the renovation at Arrowhead as David Glass did. David Glass was insanely cheap during that renovation. Clark Hunt was not. He did it the best they could do at the time, and he spent a pile of money. He's never been cheap. He pays his coaches. He pays his best players. You can knock him that they don't finish very high for how good the locker rooms are or whatever. But would you be putting all this money in the locker rooms and stuff right now if you're building a new stadium? I wouldn't. Or if you're waiting for tax dollars to help you, I wouldn't. It's not like he's gypping his players and not paying them enough money. That's not occurring. I think it heavily leans toward Kansas. Now we've got Clay County officials, the state of Missouri, listening to Clay County right now about a new sports and convention center tax that could be implemented in Clay County, and the state of Missouri is all on board with this. This does not mean the Royals are going to Clay County. What Clay County is saying is if it all falls through and there's no other option in Missouri, we want to be that option, and we'll support you by having this tax. So they want to put this tax in play in Clay County. I voted for a tax today in Lenexa, and I voted no. It's 3/8 of a cent. You may be familiar with 3/8 of a cent sales tax. It's been implemented in Lenexa for a long time, and they want to do it another 40 years. I'm not completely opposed to the tax. I was opposed today that it is a mail-in ballot from a liberal mayor that knows this will be the easiest win ever if we just do mail-in only. So sometimes it's about the process. And maybe that's where the Chiefs are right now, and they haven't enjoyed that process. There's the very latest on the stadiums. I think it looks like the Chiefs to Kansas. I just think it feels that way. Nothing's decided. We won't know until midsummer, and they'll make an announcement then. We're back on Uncanceled. Great to have you with us. This kind of gloomy Tuesday. What the heck? It's supposed to clear off and be in the 60s today, maybe? Let's see if we can't get some spring in the air. That would be just fine with yours truly.
These clouds are prepping us for the storms late tonight. Overnight?
Yeah,
it's supposed to be some heavy stuff coming in.
Yeah, I was thinking about trying to bust the mower out for about an hour this afternoon. The grass started to grow a little bit. We got a little bit of rain over the weekend. It was all overnight too, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we had some fertilizer down. I think I'm going to have to cut the grass for the first time. It is time to get out there and do that. There's a new book out about the Biden regime, I guess is the way to say it. It's not really about his presidency. Let's say it's about the regime. It's about people that worked in the administration. And in early 2023, this would be a year and a half before the election, unbeknownst to Joe Biden, his people were making plans for him dying. Now, there's a morbid topic for you. His own administration making plans for him to be dead. Now, this was nothing nefarious. It wasn't something they were planning. They thought it would be really important to have a plan B should he die. What do we do for the election? What's next? Obviously, Kamala Harris would have taken over as president if Joe Biden died. And I don't think the administration thought that was a very good idea for her to be the candidate, which, of course, is what it turned out to be because Biden waited so late for George Clooney, an actor, to kick him out of the presidency. What a silly party. George Clooney kicks him out. Kamala comes in. She flails around and gets pounded. Just awful. Disastrous candidate. I said a long time ago, the best thing they could do is 1 year out, have Biden step down, say my health is failing, let Kamala be president for a year, and then at least people would see her as president when they go to vote, yes or no. That would have been her only chance. Not sitting back and campaigning and cackling. She might have been able to pull it off looking somewhat presidential, even if nothing else other than hiding if she did that for you, but they didn't. So according to this book, there were people everywhere thinking he's going to die. They were all telling us that he's healthy and fine, and they needed plan B. And that's how dishonest all this was. And the fact these people are coming forward in new books now and saying and letting America know just how big of liars they are and how dishonest they were about the Biden presidency with all of us, which most Americans knew and could see. They just took politics down, which isn't very highly rated to begin with, to another lower down in the gutter. That's basically what they did. You expect us to be liars, so let's tell you whoppers that the man is just fine, while behind the scenes, we're preparing for him to die and figuring out what we're going to do. I just can't hardly put into words how low these people are and how little they think of you and I and any Americans, truly. That's proven out by all the illegals that come into the country every year that they just want to give benefits to and let them be normal American citizens, fast track them to citizenship. They don't care about us or our families' stories or where we came from or what we've done or how we've gotten where we are. They don't care. They don't. And it's troublesome to think that they were outwardly lying about Biden being perfectly good health while they thought he was going to die. Like they literally thought he was going to die, and this is going to be a problem. Trump's third term picked up some steam yesterday. There were a couple of options. He said, well, we could change the 22nd Amendment. That's not going to happen. He won't have the votes for that. And then there was the theory that he could run as vice president to somebody else, and if they won, that person could quit and Trump would take over as president because he's the vice president. He's talking about a third term. But he just sets a trap for the Democrats. He's the guy with the flashlight and the little kitty cat trying to follow the little laser light or whatever. That's Trump. And he wanted to get this thing off the text thread thing last week. They were all after Hegseth and all the military people, and they couldn't leave it alone. And he's like, I got an idea. Let's start talking about a third term. That'll get the leftist media talking about something else. And boy, they took it hook, line, and sinker. He threw the bait in the water over the weekend. They bit. NBC ran a big story on Sunday. Then on Monday, everybody wanted to talk about this. And he's sitting there in the Oval Office with Kid Rock answering questions about a third term. And somebody asks about, well, theoretically, if you ran, then Obama could run. And what they didn't know was that was the next level of the trap that was set. And Trump said, oh, that would be great. He can run against me. Let's do it. Now it's turning into a UFC fight. I'll fight you if you'll fight me. Will you take this match? Will you take this match? Everybody could waive the 22nd Amendment. We can all waive everything. And I'll just run against Obama. Because Obama would never do that. Trump knows that. There's no way Barack Obama is going to run against Donald Trump. No possible way. Zero. And so the story goes to the next level. He says, well, I'm okay with that. Let Obama run for a third term. I'll run for a third term. These people don't even know what he's doing to them. It's just hysterical to see. Absolutely hysterical. So the event at the White House, as Pete talked about earlier today, had Kid Rock there. And they were talking about an executive order that Trump signed about gouging, price gouging, in ticket sales for sporting events, concerts, Broadway plays, big things, big events. And I'm not an expert in this, but I've read enough to know that the evil player in this that they're after is Ticketmaster. That's who they want. And I'll tell you why. If you go to the Chiefs website right now, you can't buy tickets for this upcoming season yet, but they have a Nebraska football game at Arrowhead this year, so it's the same deal. It's at Chiefs.com. And if you want to go, you click on tickets or any Chiefs game or Taylor Swift or anything at Arrowhead. Anything Arrowhead does, Arrowhead Events does, you click at Chiefs.com and you think you're buying face value tickets, right? Because I'm buying them from the Chiefs. It redirects you to Ticketmaster. And on the screen pops up, quote, availability and pricing are subject to change. Resale ticket prices may exceed face value. Okay, so this is what they're upset about, is Ticketmaster basically running the ticket office for teams and entities. If you go to T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, they use a company called Axis, which is also a concert promoter, but they're also the ticket arm of this thing. There was a time and place where they had big ticket offices at the Royals, at the Chiefs, at Kemper Arena or T-Mobile or whatever. You could walk up to the ticket office, buy tickets. There's people there. There was a ticket manager. They were all in charge of their own tickets. When it became electronic, it got even bigger and more complicated. And then these big conglomerates came in, like Ticketmaster, and said, we will run the entire operation for you, Kansas City Chiefs. It's turnkey. All we want is a percentage. We'll even run your pricing. We won't sell any ticket for less than what you say is face value, but when volume gets high, we will raise all the prices, and you will benefit from that too. We'll just take a cut. So it basically is the team, the entity, the Chiefs, gouging you. There is no such thing as a face value ticket anymore. Ticketmaster will go in and buy all these tickets to Arrowhead, T-Mobile, wherever. They buy them all up, and when you try to go buy them from their site, you get redirected to Ticketmaster. They're going to charge you whatever they want, and they're going to fluctuate all over the place. And there's algorithms. If you think AI is smart, you got to know that Ticketmaster's using it. They know the psychology of people who buy tickets. They know when to raise prices, when to lower them back to face value. Nobody can tell you what a face value ticket is. You try to buy season tickets from the Chiefs, you better get an in-person meeting because they won't even tell you what you have to pay, how much it is, it's this, it's that, and then you talk to another guy that's the next section over. The information's just not even really available. That's what this is about. It's about taking the arena owners and the teams and resetting it to you sell tickets, and if a secondary ticket market wants to come in and buy some and try to sell them, they take all the risk. You sell at face value. But these entities are almost all of them are partnered with Ticketmaster. They're partnered with Ticketmaster, and that's where all the tickets go. And then Ticketmaster just runs them up and down, and the team loves it because the team doesn't want to do that. Why would the Chiefs? Can you imagine the complaints we'd get of people calling this show? If they said, wow, the Raiders are off to a 5-0 start this year. The Chiefs are playing the Raiders. I'm kind of excited. I want to go to that game. And you log on to Chiefs.com, and there are no face value tickets. The Chiefs have raised every price of every ticket because there's high demand. And it fluctuates every day or every hour. Can you imagine if the team did that to you? The team would have a public relations nightmare. And this is every team in every city. They want plausible deniability. Oh, that's not us. That's Ticketmaster. Our ticket partner's doing that. You get redirected to Ticketmaster to buy a Chiefs ticket. Major League Baseball, at least with the Royals, they redirect you to MLB.com. They have their own ticket app. They have their own thing. They must have some partner that runs the algorithms or whatever, but you can buy face value tickets to the Royals anytime and see exactly what they are. It's a very neat, easy, honest transaction like the old days, but they don't do that with big concerts, and they don't do it with big football games and big events. And the last thing any team or any arena in a local city wants you to think is that they're the ones gouging you. They want to blame Ticketmaster, and Ticketmaster laughs all the way to the bank when they do that. And I'm not talking about Tickets for Less or SeatGeek or any of these others. They don't work for the team. They can have partnerships with the team and have the ability to buy a certain number of tickets. Yes, they can do that. And Tickets for Less does that. They're a local Kansas City company. They're reputable. It's what they do. But they don't work in conjunction with the Chiefs to run prices up and down to get you and for the Chiefs to make more money. That's what this antitrust is about. It's about these teams who get all kinds of federal exemptions and taxpayer help and what teams and owners of arenas are doing with concerts in conjunction with one partner who runs the operation for them, which allows these teams to not even have a staff. They barely need a ticket staff anymore. The Chiefs are the most prime example of it here in Kansas City. And they will tell you, if you ask about gouging and prices went up, they'll say, well, Ticketmaster is our ticket operator, and so that's not really us. Oh, yeah, it's you. It's just making you more and more money that way. That's the way it works. All right, you want to win some free tickets? That's always the best. Dave Ramsey's coming to Kansas City with Dr. John Deloney for his Money and Marriage Tour May 9th, and you can win tickets right now if you're the 7th caller at 913-408-7957. Be the 7th caller, and you can win and have a chance to win the VIP package for the meet and greet with Dave and John and tickets to the show. Every day this week, 7:45 and 10:45, we're giving away tickets. If you want to go to the show, call us right now, 913-408-7957. Irina is today's winner from Overland Park. Congratulations, Irina. You're going to see Dave Ramsey and Dr. John Deloney on May 9th, the Music Hall. That's pretty cool stuff. Be listening all week at 7:45 and 10:45 for your chance to win. Let's have some fun with Mark here at the end. Do you like April Fool's Day, Mark?
I'm a fan of it. I like the little pranks, like earlier on Twitter. Do not go to Gardner, Kansas and look for Surge in the Walmart at Gardner, Kansas. I tweeted that Gardner, Kansas has Surge back. It's not true.
Was that an energy drink?
It's a soda. It's like the Coke version of Mountain Dew, essentially.
Okay.
So that was around in the early 2000s. It went away.
Okay.
I said it's coming back. It's not.
All right, very
Sorry,
cool.
guys.
We got Tiger Woods on X today. Can't believe I'm saying it, but just a few weeks after rupturing my left Achilles, sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber and explosive lifts, my doctors and trainers have me ready to play in the Masters next week. Why? Why would Tiger post that? Do you know how many people believe that?
Just a funny dude, I guess.
4 million people have looked at that. It's been reposted 2,500 times. He's not playing in the Masters, folks. It's April Fool's.
Yeah, people waking up and not realizing it's April 1st, it's tricky for them. I just saw on Twitter, Hunter Dickinson has been given an 8th year of eligibility. So
yeah, that was a recruiting site. On3 recruiting site has posted that Hunter Dickinson is entering the transfer portal, has been granted another year, and is in negotiations with KU to stay there.
I mean, it's kind of sad because KU has so many guys in the transfer portal. Like today, I'm very, very careful about this stuff.
How about this one? This is University of Georgia Barstool. Carson Beck is going back to Georgia as the quarterback.
Oh, no.
So my daughter is easily the smartest person in our family.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to the University of Georgia. And she texted me the story.
Oh, no.
And said, UGA Barstool got me good for April Fool's Day. I almost started crying when I saw he was coming back.
As in sadness or happiness?
Happy.
She liked him? Okay.
Yes, happy. She wanted him back. I was like, oh, my. So she got fooled on that one. How about the Coastal Carolina football program?
What are they doing?
They're going to get, regardless of how much your ticket costs or where you sit, any person at any time can walk up the concession stand and get 4 concessions, hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, or soda, and come back as many times as you want the entire game, absolutely free.
I like that move, if it was true.
It is true.
Oh,
they
right.
posted it yesterday.
There we go.
They're trying to sell tickets. So like maybe they added a couple bucks to each ticket. I don't know. But Coastal Carolina doesn't sell out. So hot dogs and popcorn and nachos and sodas can be really cheap, right?
Yeah.
If you don't staff the thing too well, you can have long lines. People like seeing the game. So you could probably limit the actual amount that you go through. Like the Royals do $1 night, right?
Yeah, buck night, yeah.
So, I mean, if you add $2 to each ticket and build this in, you're probably breaking even or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless somebody just stands in line all day and gets 16 items.
I like places that do this. Like when Atlanta opened their new stadium, they had lower prices for stuff. I like when teams do stuff like that.
It needs to be that way. There needs to be places in all concerts and ball games where there are low-priced concessions. The Royals have, it sounds like a bargain. It's not the greatest bargain, but the Royals have a $5 beer. I think it's a cup. It must be draft beer. And I think there's only a couple places you can get it. But they have like a $5 beer and I think cheaper hot dogs. They have a lesser hot dog. Mm-hmm. I think if I want to get the hot dog at the ball game, I'll go ahead and get the good one, But not buck night. You take the kids, everybody's going. Buck Night's awesome when the Royals offer those things, so we like that. Congratulations to Jasper Mirable. Jasper's restaurant is 71 years old today in Kansas City. I need to have Jasper on sometime. He's the host of Jasper's Kitchen every Saturday at 11 right here on KCMO Talk Radio. He has great chefs from around the area on his show. This man is incredible. I've known him for years. I don't go there enough, but he is a great guy. He is filled with life and spirit and love of the industry and love for food. And he is great for Kansas City and a wonderful person. We congratulate him. I want to hear the story about the beginnings of the restaurant and the full 71 years because I don't know the history. So maybe we should get Jasper on. I've emailed him, and we'll see if we can get Jasper on and hear the history of this great restaurant where the food is fantastic.
Great guy, too.
Jasper's top-notch. How about Jim Nantz? Big fan of the Houston Cougars who are in the Final Four. Jim Nantz did 32 Final Fours, no longer calls the Final Four. He believes Houston is the favorite. For what reason, say you, Mark Van Sickle?
It's got to be their defense, right?
It's what I would have guessed. He says it's the only team in the Final Four where everybody stayed and they've all played together the longest.
It's not a bad reasoning.
He said, this is old school. Everyone stayed here. We added one player through the portal, but everybody stayed, and it's paying off. We play like a team that has played together a long time, and that's a huge advantage. Now, he's a Houston homer, guarantees you nothing. I kind of like seeing Jim Nantz as a fan, don't you?
I like that, yeah.
It'd be different if he's like a Notre Dame fan. You'd be like, oh, it's Houston basketball. We love that. He chronicled they went like 30 years without making the tournament or 20-some years without making the tournament. They were decimated, and he believes that he worked as hard as anyone to get them in the Big 12. He said he worked the phone lines, begged, borrowed, stole to get Houston into the Big 12. He said, my promise to everyone that would listen was it will pay off.
And they're dominating that.
They are dominating. You will not be sorry. If we come into your league, you will not be sorry. We're going to come in and we're going to make a difference. There's a lot of money in Texas and a lot of money in Houston, for sure. How about this nugget? Your champion that wins this weekend in the NCAA tournament, once again, will be east of Lawrence, Kansas.
Yep.
Every year since 1997. 28 years in a row. Lawrence is the farthest east champion of this tournament.
Never pick the West Coast teams in your bracket.
Never, ever pick the West Coast teams. Now, there's a debate going on. Baylor won one. Is Waco possibly west of Lawrence? I don't think so. Other than that, it's all the way to Louisville. The Vince Show is coming up next. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled.